Facebook and Instagram, Rainier Avenue Radio.world, and on Twitter at Rainier Ave Radio.
It's May, and we will be celebrating Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month all month long here at Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Stay tuned to the special programs highlighting, celebrating, and honoring the contributions of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. Please check us out at www.rainieravenueradio.world.
Join Rainier Avenue Radio from 5 to midnight for Sunday evening sound sessions. Jazz from the Cabinets from Big Poppy.
That's right. It's time once again for Jazz from the Cabinets with Big Poppy.
Sergio LaCour's Love Line.
It's Sergio's Love Lines with Sergio LaCour. Going to the phone line. Tell her who we talking to.
Sage Prince and Just My Opinion.
This is Sage, and that's just about going to do it for the first half of Just My Opinion.
K-Fox Night Beat with Nasty Nets Rodriguez.
The beat of the Fox. K-Fox Night Beat, Nasty Nets.
You know what? You're going to listen from 5 to midnight. Just turn it on and don't stop. DJ Alibaba. The Underground Surround Sound Star Time with Paul Pearson.
Thanks for tuning in. My name is Paul Pearson.
Sunday evening sound sessions on Rainier Avenue Radio. Trust me, you'll be listening the entire time from 5 to midnight. Sunday evening, your sound session on Rainier Avenue Radio. Metro League High School sports are back.
Here's Jordan. Makes a stutter step inside, breaks a tackle. He's off the run. He's going to take it all the way.
Join Rainier Avenue Radio, your home team for Metro League football, basketball, baseball, girls soccer, track and field, bowling, and even more than that. We got you. Watch Metro League High School sports on Rainier Avenue Radio via Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. You can listen in right at our website, RainierAvenueRadio.world, or download our app for free to listen and watch. Metro League High School Sports 2021 on RainierAvenueRadio.world, powered by the Urban League of Metropolitan Seattle, King County for Culture, and the Seattle Mariners.
This is Paul Pearson, host of Star Time. And when I'm not being reprimanded by traffic cops, I'm listening to RainierAvenueRadio.world.
Well, good evening. Once again, welcome to Monday Night Sports. I'm Dupe, and that guy next to me, somewhere, there he is. Edwin Bailey, Seahawks legend. What's up,
something about that just make the hair stand up on my neck.
I hear you, man. But you the man.
Hey,
well, welcome to the show, everyone. Hey, we got a lot to talk about, man. NFL draft. I don't know how closely, Edwin, you followed it. Our listeners and viewers, I don't know how closely you followed it. And by the way, if you're listening, you can also, not that you necessarily want to see me and Edwin, but you can see us join the stream. Go to our YouTube page, Rainier Avenue Radio.world, Rainier Avenue Radio YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch, and you can see us and join us that way as well. Before we get to the draft, Edwin, I want to kind of break it down, get your take on it. Seahawks only had 3 picks, as people know, but looking at it, I mean, we'll talk more about it. I mean, I think they did as well as they could given where they were, and I think the offseason moves they made were the big, and we talked about Condotta last week from the Seattle Times. He talked about some of the moves that they made, and those are really preceding the draft, the big moves for this team to try to shore up the offensive line. You get Carlos Dunlap, they're on the D line, a guy who can put some pressure on the quarterback. He'll be here for a full season. So I think, and then a lot of people say, their first round pick was Jamal Adams. You trade away the first round picks and you got number 33 in there. So
Yep. That's how they look at it.
That is. With that said, before we get there, though, as I think our listeners and our viewers know, we are continuing our coverage of Metro League sports, and we started last week Metro League basketball, and knock on wood, provided that we don't go back to phase 2 and what impact that could have. But for the time being, we are bringing you Metro League basketball. And so last week gave 3 doubleheaders, girls and boys games. This week we've got a couple of doubleheaders. And so want to just make sure that our listeners and our viewers tune in so they can check out what we have. So coming up, Wednesday, we're going to be at Seattle Prep. And we have, it's now going to be the Eastside Catholic girls taking on Seattle Prep girls. And then that will be followed by O'Day, the boys, and Seattle Prep. So the girls game at 5:45 and the boys game at 7:30. And then Friday night, we're going to be at Garfield High School, Rainier Beach, bragging rights for the community. Rainier Beach at Garfield, 5:45. Again, the girls game starts, and then 7:30 for the boys game. So with that said, we're going to continue, Edwin, the player of the week. And I just we're going to recognize each week a player from the games that we cover, and that individual will win a $20 gift certificate to Emerald City Fish and Chips. And so, Daniel, I think we've got some video. We a couple of great games, but Friday night we're at Garfield, and Eastside Catholic at Garfield, and the girls' game was incredible. It was going back and forth. But we and the boys' game was good as well. But the girls' game, our player of the week is coming from the girls' game, and sophomore from Garfield High School. We want to, there's the drum roll. We want to recognize Jayla Alderson, sophomore, and man, she turned that game around. There we go.
Back, drives to the hoop, makes it all the way to the Alderson. Splits the defenders, man, and gets the bucket. And Alderson comes back, knocks the ball away. The player that was bringing the ball in was Titi Ali. He grabbed it and was out of bounds. Yeah.
So that was just a little bit of it, but she came in on that sequence, took the ball to the basket, made the basket, and then forced a turnover. And she forced at least 4 or 5 turnovers defensively. She came off the bench, was just disrupting Eastside Catholic's offense, and just played a great game. Also want to recognize Rakia Jackson. Man, Rakia Jackson, also a sophomore, I believe, and she got into foul trouble early, had 4 fouls in the first half, and then there was about a minute or maybe less than a minute left to go in the second quarter, and she got a 3rd foul, and I'm like, oh man, they need to bring her out, and didn't bring her out. She got a 4th foul, sat most of the 3rd quarter, came in, and she, along with the Alderson, man, they just were kind of a 1-2 punch, and Garfield came back and won that game 62-56. But again, want to recognize and congratulate Jayla Alderson, our player of the week. So it's always fun, Edwin, to see these kids and to see them.
Man,
we talked about that.
I enjoy it, Rick, because you never know when you're going to see them again.
Yeah,
And at least you can say, hey, I remember you went.
And some of them we're going to see them at the next level, and maybe even the next level after that.
Level. You're right.
Yeah. So which is really cool. Okay, so let's talk NFL draft.
Rick.
Yeah. So your initial thoughts?
NFL draft, Rick.
Huh?
I don't want to talk the NFL draft, Rick. Rick, not one. Listen to me. Not one HBCU player was drafted in this last NFL draft, and this has been a trend from what I've been reading. This has been a trend here lately.
Yeah.
There's something broke somewhere. There's something broke in the HBCUs. There's something broke in the scouting. And I scouted, and I know for a fact ain't nothing broke there.
Yeah. And I mean, so last year, and I want to give people, just our listeners, a perspective. Last year, there was only one player drafted from a historically black college and university. When you graduated in 81, right?
Yes.
How many players off of your roster at South Carolina State?
Well, we had 4 priority free agents.
Mm-hmm.
We had Big Dabs, myself, Judson, Charlie Brown, and we had 5 people drafted off our team my senior year. 5 drafted and 4 free agents. So we had 9 players.
And when you say priority free agent, what does that mean? What does that mean?
Guys that might have had a hole or something somewhere. My roommate, Leroy Robinson, should have been drafted. But our senior year, he broke his leg.
Okay.
Came back. You can't draft him with a broken leg.
Right.
but he came back, went and made the Eagles team.
Yeah. But those are guys that should be in the draft for one reason or another. Something happened and kind of they weren't drafted, but they were high priority and teams wanted to sign them. And those are guys that went on and made NFL rosters.
He played in for the Eagles, played in the USFL.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think he tried out again in the NFL. You know, he just wanted an opportunity to see if he could do it. He did it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And it's just something about the whole situation that bugs me.
Yeah.
You know. And I've been in the scouting department. You can't tell me anything about that. I know how detailed they are.
Mm-hmm.
To be a part of the 5 guys that was drafted out of South Carolina State, that's still an MEAC record. At one time, that was a South Carolina record.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with Clemson and the University of South Carolina and the Citadel.
Yeah.
You know, and the most impressive thing, within 3 to 4 years, we all had been in the Final Four for the Super Bowl. Judson with Miami, Angelo King with the Cowboys, myself with the Seahawks. You know, we all played to go to the Super Bowl.
Right.
So there was no doubt that we were good.
Yeah. Exactly.
Rick, there's a problem with coaching. There's a problem with administration. There's a problem somewhere. There's no way in hell that this is supposed to be going on.
Right. With athletes you have. And so I just wanted our listeners to get a perspective. And again, Edwin Bailey, 11-year NFL veteran, has scouted for numerous years and what have you. But for a perspective, no HBCU players drafted this year, 1 in the previous draft. Your year back in 81, 5 off of your team.
Yes.
Out of South Carolina State. Not from HBCUs, just from one university were drafted. And just again, for perspective, if I'm not mistaken, about 30% of the players in the NFL Hall of Fame are players from historically Black colleges and universities.
Yes, sir.
So yeah. And I think, you and I have talked about this a bit. And one of the things we're seeing, back when we were in school and you were talking about this, I mean, you had coaches that had some longevity. They were there for a while. They created programs and tradition. Maybe not seeing that as much now, but I think a positive thing, and there have been over the last year articles and a lot of rumbling, both basketball and football.
Right.
You have some of these top recruits, African-American recruits around the nation saying, I'm thinking about HBCUs, and some have committed to HBCUs. So we may start to see this trend and shift where young brothers, young sisters are saying, hey, I want to go to the HBCU. And that will elevate, the game and the prospects there. But I think at the end of the day, Edwin, you are touching on a key point, is that, what's going on with those coaching staffs, what's going on with those programs? Is there longevity in that coaching staff? What's happening? Because I go back to, you always say, you talk about your footwork, and you got in, I'll never forget this. You say you got into college and they were talking about, your footwork was impeccable, and what you learned in high school, and then it was continued in college. Is that happening?
Rick, that's my concern, Rick.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, where is Joe Turner out there? And Joe Turner wanted to make sure that I was fundamentally sound when I got to South Carolina State. When I got to South Carolina State, Willie Jeffries and Bill Davis, made sure I was polished.
Right.
Conduct myself like somebody, act like you've been there before.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's scaring me. Even with the young man in Charlotte, who killed the 5 people and killed himself.
Mm-hmm.
That's South Carolina State got. It's an HBCU got.
Yeah.
Yeah. So see, there's like you said, there's a lot of red flags that's up. They're saying something ain't going on right. It's something ain't good in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Am I pointing fingers? No, I ain't pointing fingers. Because it's enough to go around.
Yeah. But something to be looked at, as you said, and I mean, it's going to be interesting to see over the next couple of years. I think with everything with Black Lives Matter movement, and I'm talking about the movement and what we're looking at in total reform of, policing, of public safety, what have you, you're seeing, again, a number of young individuals say, hey, I'm proud of who I am. I'm proud of my skin color. I'm proud of my heritage. Yeah. And they want to continue that. And I mean, you and I was only on the Florida A&M campus part of my first year. You obviously went to graduate. My daughter, I see the experience of her going to Howard, and there's just something different. And even the short time I was at Florida A&M, I told you this before, I get in the classroom, they're like, oh, we ain't gonna let you fail, baby. You gonna work. We gonna make sure you're prepared. I mean, it was a whole different atmosphere, whole different environment.
Hey, Rick, one of my professors, Mr. Myers, they call him Naughty Top Myers. Naughty Top Myers was also an official, but he was a professor over in the math department. My first experience with Mr. Myers is we won our first 2 games. Man, I ain't going to no math class today. Mr. Myers sent a student to come and get me out of the bed and told me I got 20 minutes to get to his class.
To get your rusty dusty.
Hey, man. Hey, Rick, I got there. He got all 55 of his minutes. Class changed. He told me, no, you ain't going nowhere. Ain't nobody sitting in here but me and you.
Oh, yeah.
Myers got his time. When I hit the practice field that evening, who was standing on the fence talking to Coach Jeffers? Naughty Top Myers.
Yeah, oh man.
And Coach Jeffers asked me, are you just trying to sabotage yourself? He said, all of a sudden, am I beginning to see the real you?
Yeah.
I mean, you here, you playing, you starting as a freshman, but then now you ain't going to class? I'm like, whoa, man. And Coach Jeffers made me do something called rolling. Lay out, and I had to give him 300 yards of rolling.
So you lay out and you literally rolling, huh?
Rolling like a log.
Yeah.
Hey, Rick, I was so sick. I was sick as a dog.
Oh, good grief!
I never missed another class. Never was late.
Yeah. But that's, I mean, again, and many of us grew up and we were always taught, oh, you got to be better than, you got to be better than everyone else. And I mean, it's that mentality that pushing us to excel, pushing us to be the best that we can be, which, and again, you look at your career and what it led to. So that's important. Hey, we got about 13 minutes or so here, 12, 13. So let's real quick. We'll talk draft just a little bit. If you weren't, for those of you listening again, this is Monday Night Sports. I'm Dupe. That's Edwin Bailey. If you have kind of been, I was gonna say if you've been kind of in a cave somewhere, but that's not really true because I mean, there's a lot on the draft, but again, the Seahawks did not. They only had 3 picks. They kept those 3 picks, and I think as we take a look at grading the draft, so a couple, and we're going to show some highs. So Daniel, we'll talk about Western Michigan's Dwayne Eskridge. Forgive me. Seahawks drafted him, and you can kill the audio on that. But go ahead and play the video while I'm talking. They had some music or whatever on. So I pulled some highlights just so people can see him a little bit. But a small receiver, kind of a slot guy, but a guy who here we go, who after the catch, Edwin, as we can see, can make some things happen. He's got some speed and can make people miss, and a lot of good things about him. So, and you look, you got obviously DK Metcalf is the guy. Right. You also have Tyler Lockett signed extension, nice deal there. They lost a couple guys, so can a kid like this come in and you put him in the slot? You have him on the inside and get some things done. But you see, I mean, everything I've been reading about him. I was not familiar with him. I got to be honest. None of the draft picks, to be honest. But they say this guy, he is a threat once he catches the football, and he can make some things happen after the catch.
Hey, that's what I like the most about him, Rick. And scouting, they call it the rack. How good are you once you got the rock in your hand?
Exactly.
Right after the catch.
Yeah.
I mean, not only does he seem to be a good run after the catch guy, but he can establish something as a punt and kick returner. He seemed to have that type of ability.
Yeah. And that's what they list him as. He averaged 213 all-purpose yards last season. That was second in the FBS. Wow. 213 all-purpose yards. So yeah, as a return man, as a receiver. So he's a guy who's going to come in and how quickly can he have an impact? How quickly can he help out? But again, and he's not the speed guy like DK Metcalf. I mean, DK Metcalf can go, but I mean, certainly a guy who is elusive, can make people's miss, but just in terms of flat out speed, I haven't heard him described as a guy who just is a blazing 4.2 for whatever, but he can get it done. And you kind of seeing these highlights here. I was kind of excited. I was looking. I mean, he gets behind the defense, can catch the ball and can make something happen after he catches it. I mean, that was a great catch there. So
yes, sir. And I mean, and whether they realize it or not, he scored a touchdown there.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, Rick, if they find somebody that can take the top off it, and that's DJ Metcalf, and with Tyler Lockett and this guy here under,
man. Yeah, running some crossing patterns underneath, drags, whatever the case may be. And the thing is, you got the schemes, and the Rams, man, over the last several years have been incredibly successful, their passing game.
Yes.
And so I'm really excited to see what they will do. Let's go to give me some highlight. The next guy, if you would, Daniel, is and a guy, especially losing Griffin at cornerback, you need to bring in. Now they're bringing in a guy who's not the biggest guy. Trey Brown, is a guy who they describe him as kind of a slot guy on defense, if you will. But a guy who's made some plays, also a returner, can return, but he's not real big, 5'10", but he has really, really good speed, and played at Oklahoma. And so he's played at that major level. You see him there, number 6.
Good.
Yeah, and there he's coming in on a blitz, and I mean, he's a guy who made some things happen, man. He made some plays. So, I think maybe some finds here a little bit later, in the draft. And yeah, here he is on a return, and I mean, let's watch him. I mean, he got a little bit. Watch him here. I was like, okay. So now you got 2 return guys, potential return guys. So yeah.
Hey, Rick, I like what they're doing. Now I see what they're doing.
Yeah.
You can hear about it, and you can hear about the guys, but I can see the area that they're trying to establish. Obviously there's some concerns about punt and kick return.
Right.
So you got a DB. And that's that's the boxer from here in Seattle. What's his name?
Who's that?
The boxer that went to played for the Huskies.
Oh, Nate Robinson.
Nate.
Yeah. The boxer. That's what threw me. I'm like, what? Yeah.
And now Nate is this guy to me. I saw Nate as the guy that can cover those slot receivers.
Regardless of, and they list Trey Brown at 5'10". I think they listed Nate at 5'10", and I'm 5'7", and Nate and I mean, I'll give Nate 5'9". Okay, I'll give him 5'9".
Yeah, easy.
But I mean, and his Nate's athleticism. I think same thing here. So I think that's a good comparison that you're making. A guy who incredibly athletic, and you see makes some great breaks on the ball, understands how to play the position, Edwin. And that's so critical. And you got some big receivers, but 5'10", so that's the question mark. But I think they can play him in different, and that's what they're planning on doing, playing him in different areas. Here is another return. So you got a couple guys who have shown they've got the ability to make some plays, man.
Yeah, hey, Rick. I mean, in just my time spent in the draft room, and sometimes they call it like they see it. See, he might be a return guy first.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he can help us in nickel coverage.
Right. That's exactly it. You hitting the nail on the head. So that's the first 2 picks for the Seahawks. Now the third guy, Edwin, and I want to get your take on this mammoth of a man, Stone Forsythe, who's 6'8". But this is a big dude. Look at some of these highlights. And he just there's number 72, University of Florida. And he's just a big deal.
See, Rick, I thought I was watching film. I told you to run that back. I want to look at it again. Yeah, okay. I see. Hey, first thing, I like his feet.
Mm-hmm.
I love his feet. And he's a big guy. What, he's 6 what?
6'8".
Okay, I might move him inside the right guard.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So Florida had him at tackle on the outside there. Now look at this play here. He blocked 2 guys. He blocked 2 guys on that play. And he's a guy who just, he's just a big dude. And so upside, we'll see. But I think, it might be some things that I don't like, but I'm not a hater. Yeah,
He's down in the SEC.
Yeah.
Defensive ends in the SEC come to play every night.
Yeah.
And if he good feet, good hand placement, keeps his chin back, everything that'll give me a plus or positive grade on it, I've seen so far. And I only saw like 7 snaps. I don't really see no more than 10.
Yeah. See, the other thing the Seahawks did, so we talked about what they did prior to the draft. So the big moves, you bring in Gabe Jackson from Las Vegas at right guard.
Big guard.
A guy who has year in and year out been a standout on the offensive line. You bring in tight end Gerald Everett, who down in LA has been in this system. He's a guy, and I love the way, with their short passing game and what have you. And then boom, you're going to pop, and you got guys here. Tyler Lockett's got some speed, and DK Metcalf, we know that. So, you open up some things. Those were huge moves. And then you bring in Aldon Smith, the defensive end, along with re-signing, the big guy. So I think, Carlos
Dunlap.
Thank you. Good. I was going to say Carlos Hyde, the running back. So, those, I think, given how limited, they were, I think you have a pretty good situation. We'll certainly see. We got a couple minutes here. Hey, Daniel, go ahead and just play that first of Pete Carroll and John Snyder. Let's hear the audio, maybe the first minute and a half of it. They're talking a little bit about the draft.
I'm not picking anymore, so we wanted to be ready to get back up there and start being able to recruit as soon as the draft was over. So appreciate you adjusting the schedules for us. But it was an amazing day. We traded all over the place. 2 players. Really excited about both players, obviously. It's not. We're not going to come out there, after surgery. You hear many doctors say, right? We talked about this before. Surgery was just okay. We feel really excited about what we did, and really excited about Trey. Excited about his competitiveness. He's just got. The guy's just got a fire to him that's just off the chain. That's what all the cool kids say, I guess. Off the chain. Good. Yeah, sorry. Son would say that, right? So, but
4 or 5 years ago, John.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I know. I apologize. And then Stone we waited. It seemed like forever. We waited for Stone. We tried trading up forever to get him. Monster of a man, all business, pretty quiet, not like a real vocal guy, but just a real professional that is a 2-year starter at Florida, big man, super long arms, hard for people to run the hump on him, and the guy runs the track especially well with their new offense. You can see him as a big person out there running and getting outside. So, just really excited, proud of everybody upstairs and what they did, coaches, personnel guys. It was a very productive draft, and now we're getting ready to start the second phase of it.
So thanks, Daniel. That was good. So and we got about a minute left. I just want to read something real quick. So most of the draft pundits, if you will, are rating the Seahawks draft, B or C or whatever. But this was really interesting, talking about Eskridge, who I think, they said he's a late breakout prospect who jumped into the second round after dominating the MAC competition and impressing scouts at the Senior Bowl. Listen to this, and this is what I think is because Schneider was talking about Trey Brown and the big guy Forsythe, but this Danny Kelly of Ringer says about Esther. He's exactly the type of playmaker the Seahawks offense is missing. He has a scintillating run after the catch skills and the ability to turn a quicksand into a big game Browns. So I think that overall you look at the moves and obviously time will tell. Time will tell.
Well, I'm pleased that they got a big physical offensive line guy, present guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so our guy who's taking the snap got a little bit more protection.
There you go. And that's the key we've been talking about. Okay, that does it for us. So I just want to remind people, tune in Wednesday night, 5:45. We'll be at Seattle Prep High School, Eastside Catholic Girls and Seattle Prep Girls, followed by Old Day Boys and Seattle Prep at 7:30. And don't turn that dial. Don't move away from your YouTube, your Twitch, or your Facebook stream, because Lidline is up next right here on Rainier Avenue Radio. For Edwin Bailey, the big guy, for Daniel B, I'm Dupe. Appreciate you. We'll see you next week. I'll see you later this week from Prep and from Garfield. But until next time, peace. And God bless.
Rick, I'll see you at the game.
You got it, man. Take care.
Avenue Radio traffic update.